Whenever you are selling a program, especially if it's a coaching program or a high-end program, but this also works for courses and those kinds of things, there's a great question that I want to propose that you may want to include. It's called the Dan Sullivan question. And this comes from Dan Sullivan, who is the creator of a program called Strategic Coach, which is a great program. I've taken it for several years and I recommend it to a lot of people. Let me know if you want more information about it. I'd be happy to let you know. Dan came up with a very specific question that he has used over the years and recommended to his clients that they use. And very frankly, I've used this and I love this question. So let me quote Dan's question to you. It goes like this. If we were having this discussion 3 years from today, what has to have happened, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy about your progress? So let's do this again, okay? If we were to have this discussion 3 years from today, what has to have happened, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy about your progress? Here's what I recommend you do. Ask that question in the in your sales call. So this works best in a one-on-one sales call. Here's the way I like to do this. Let's say someone's calling me to talk about, and I'm trying to sell them on some kind of program. What I will oftentimes do is greet them, do the chit chat, do those kinds of things that create the initial emotional bonding. And then before I have the conversation about my program at all, so I've not discussed it now. The only way someone gets on those calls with me is when they know what's coming. So this is not a surprise sell. They've already thought about it. They've already considered it. And so then before I even talk about my program, I ask them that question. And then I wait. Because here's the thing. When you ask that question, what ends up happening is people have to think about it for a few moments to get their answer. And so you wait. Don't fill the silence with your words. Let them process. And what happens is that they will then start talking. So you let them talk. Don't interrupt. Don't jump in and say, "Oh, my course covers that," or I'm planning on giving you that, or whatever. You just let them talk. And here's what oftentimes happens. In fact, Dan tells the story of one time when he asked that question. The person talked for 23 minutes straight, outlined their entire life, their biggest challenges, their goals, the things that would excite them, all those kinds of things. And then at the end said, "Your program sounds pretty good. I think I should get it." And Dan, when he told that story in my group to us, he just sort of chuckled, and I can see why. And that's what sold me on using his question is, what happens is when someone answers that question, then what ends up happening is it makes this call all about them. Deeply personal, deeply focused on their needs, not on the features of your program. So it's not about how many calls you get a month, how long are they, are we going to work from a curriculum, or am I going to be, all those kinds of questions. That's not the most important part of this conversation. The most important part of the conversation is, what are their needs? What have they got to do to feel happy about their progress 3 years from now? And here's what happens that I've discovered is By the time they're done answering that question, 3 things have happened. Number 1, they've pretty much sold themselves on your program. You're just answering cleanup questions after that. Number 2, you know the things that you need to focus them on to get results. So if they said, I need to accomplish this and this and this to feel happy about my progress, well, you should be writing those down, because then when you're doing the coaching and the consulting, working with them, you focus on those 3 things, because those are the 3 things that they told you are the things that they need to make significant progress in so they can feel happy about your program. See how this tailoring happens here? And they told you, not you telling them what you're going to do. And back to the first point. They've defined, first point, get the right card. Okay, let me do it this way. What they've just done is they've just defined their own curriculum. They've just told you what you should be working on with them. And then the third thing is, at the end of this answer, you may know what's holding them back from investing in your program right now. Because oftentimes they'll come back as part of this discussion, they will tell you more about what they're struggling with and why they're hesitating to buy your program. And the beautiful thing of that is that when they're done talking, all you do is answer those simple questions, and you're significantly closer to making the sale. Now, notice something here. In this process of asking this question and getting these answers, have you been hard selling your program? No. In fact, exactly the opposite. You haven't been selling your program at all. They've been selling themselves on investing in themselves and letting you be their guide. It's a beautiful way to sell, especially if you're one of those people, most of us, who doesn't like hard selling. I don't like hard selling. I don't like to be hard sold too. And so when you ask this kind of question that causes them to self-reflect and figure out what it is that they want to do and what will make them happy, at the end of that, there's no hard selling at all that happened. So just in case you didn't write down all the words of that, and I'll put this in the comments too, let's just review the Dan Sullivan question. If we were asked the person, if we were having this discussion 3 years from today, what has to have happened both personally and professionally for you to feel happy about your progress? Great question. Strongly recommend you use that or some version of it in your one-on-one sales process with other people. It really does work. What's your thoughts? What's your experience? Have you ever been asked this question? Have you ever asked this question yourself? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.